Hi, performers and achievers. Welcome to Performers and Achievers Daily with me, Gavurla. We finished the series on my book, Winning at Entrepreneurship, Common Sense Strategies for Business Owners. For those of you who are interested, you can go back and look at some of the previous episodes. We went through all 9 strategies, and each strategy is a chapter. And people bring me in to deliver programs based on the salient learning points with relevant and relatable stories and examples for their organization, their business, their team. So, in today's podcast, I'm talking about the word smarter, as in you've heard SMART goals, or have SMART, clear goals. And some of you are familiar. SMART is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound. So those are SMART, clear goals. However, I used the word smarter for smarter, clear goals. So I add the ER, and the ER is to evaluate, and the R is revise. And so you have your long-term goals, or some people call those telescope goals, and then you have your short-term goals, and some people call those microscope goals. However, in order to achieve those, accomplish those, you then have your task prioritization. And so, since you already have your clear goals, we're looking at the tasks to accomplish these clear goals. And so, it's beneficial for you to use smarter task prioritization. Smarter task prioritization. So your tasks prioritization, are they specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound, evaluate, and the R, revise. And so this is something where it's challenging, especially in today's workplace and the what the customers and your team and other people are looking for. And there's times when the smarter task prioritization occurs, and because of a specific event, then or issue or challenge or good opportunity or initiative, the smarter task prioritization, what was at one time was the priority task. It's not the priority task. And it's because there was some event, some initiative, some good opportunity, a challenge. And so, are you using smarter task prioritization? And this becomes more challenging when there are things that aren't really in your control, right? There are some things that aren't in your control. However, you're needing to respond. And there are situations where things are more important. So it could be that someone is, for some reason, their health and wellness is not as good on this specific day, or there is another issue. There was a traffic jam, and it was difficult to get to where you needed to go to because of some kind of delay on the interstate. And so, best way to handle some of those things, and many of you are familiar with this, instead of putting stress on yourself, is to just call in and let someone know who you're working together with. That is the person that is tasked with keeping things flowing and informing them that there's some kind of big jam, delay. We'll be taking another route. And so now they're informed and they can prioritize. We can use smarter task prioritization to occur. And then sometimes this can happen when you're already working and you're executing, consistently executed the performance process, and what's normally in place isn't there. And so everyone communicates. And it's challenging at times. Is there a communication protocol put into place? Which is really challenging. Because let's say that you tell someone or say someone, and they're in their routine to do something or inform them of something. But now this person needs to break out of their routine or stay in routine and be able to communicate back what's occurring. Or be able to say, got it, as a confirmation to make sure that it was received because they are in routine. And it's challenging. You can look at, for example, in any kind of environment, workplace, culture there, you have a communication protocol in place to where the other person knows that the message was received. And again, this is challenging, and being able to put in that communication protocol to just say, I got it, or to say something else to add and help contribute to what it is that you're working together on. And for example, a little bit earlier today, I watched some highlights from a soccer match. It's very similar. Some of it's intuitive, right? There's not even a time for I got it. People are just moving and players are moving, and yes, they're communicating with each other. However, a lot of it's intuitive, and they're helping and supporting each other. And I'm sure that's happening also, whether or not there is a communication protocol. Because this is happening in real time. It's happening at a speed that obviously is real time. And there's not time for someone to reply back because this guy's trying to come down the pitch and I've got two other ones coming down the pitch. There's three of us back and they're trying to make a run towards the goal. And now it becomes intuitive. And it's challenging. And then if you're on the other side, your team's coming down. And there's three of you and three of them. And you help and support each other. And a lot of it's intuitive. There's not a lot of communication protocol occurring. And based on the move that one does, the other one responds. And that's, again, very challenging. Obviously, soccer at times, a lot of athleticism, quickness, agility, endurance, speed. stamina. And this happens in your workplace, regardless of at what speed. And so think about it and feel what occurs when someone's in routine and is challenging when they're zoned in to be able to communicate with each other without a protocol. It's a communication protocol. Do you have one? And it's very challenging. And so as you do that, are you discussing with each other how to evaluate that and how to revise? See, a lot of professional teams in sports, they watch the video, the film, they look at all the positives that were done. Obviously, there's lots of positives, lots of successes. And then they look at where were some errors or mistakes, and then how to improve to contribute to working together. And so in your place of business, do you have something similar to this? Although it's not sports, and it's not at the speed or quickness and speed of sports, there's still the opportunity, a good opportunity for you to evaluate and reflect. And to do that with where are all the positives that occur? What are those positives? And then revise where were some errors or mistakes made? And then how to improve those or contribute, how to contribute to work together. And as that comes, then obviously the amount of success, the amount of accomplishment, achievement, and you're doing your job to the best of your ability. You're working together. And so is there that type of communication protocol in place? And so in your bonus assignment, the first assignment is, do you have a communication protocol where you evaluate and revise on your task prioritization that use the smarter framework? And if you are putting together a new routine Well, do all the people who are there in the new routine, are they having the right amount of work time on that particular routine? Or some people have more on that routine than others, and you had set then time frame, a realistic time frame, time bound, say, okay, this is the routine. However, some people have been working on that routine, working together on the routine more often than some of the other people. And therefore, some of the other people shouldn't be at the same time bound as far as, okay, the routine is now implementable. So here's another example. If that confused you, and it might have, let's say you're, and I've never been on one, however, I can use my adaptability link. Let's say you have a flight simulator and you're a pilot. There's a flight simulator. So someone comes in, they establish the smarter task prioritization, and there's a specific time where everybody has this routine, whatever it may be. And then everyone should be in routine. However, let's say there were 20 people. Some of them had access and were on the flight simulator for, let's say, 20 hours. However, there were 7 people who didn't have access to the flight simulator. So they didn't have 20 hours on the flight simulator. And therefore, they shouldn't be held to the same time bound as far as implementing this new routine. C1, or many of them, 7 had the 20 hours. And then even after 20 hours, if there's a challenge, then we can evaluate and discuss, evaluate and revise. However, 7 of them had only 7 hours on the flight simulator. So how can you think and feel that they would be able to implement the routine in the time bound that you've established? So your second bonus, bonus number 2, or second bonus is, are there areas in your organization, your business, on your team where you're working together and not everyone's having access to what it is that they need access to in order to be proficient and implement a new routine? And therefore, this causes stress. It causes unnecessary conflict. And you may be thinking and feeling, why is this occurring? Well, it very well could be because not everyone had access for 20 hours to the flight simulator. And not only that, not everyone was evaluated. And were there anything to revise in order to make that a little easier for them? So the routine's there, which is good. So there's nothing really to revise there. That's been established. And of course, if you have a question on if it doesn't make sense, the person should be able to ask the question so that it's clear in their mind. And then that way, now you've got everyone on the same page. That's what I have for you today. If you like my podcast, like it and comment in the comment section. For those of you who are interested in private, personal, professional, confidential services and programs with me, visit my website, rajgavurla.com, fill out the brief form, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Enjoy your day and have some fun moments.